Howdy, friend. Sam Houston here, hoping you're living in high cotton. And if you're lucky enough to be in Texas, I know you're most of the way there. Now enjoy your daily dose of Texas history and Texas pride.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast and your Texas History Roundup for December 21st. In 1826, independence from Mexico was declared by Hayden Edwards during the Fredonian Rebellion in Nacogdoches. In April 1825, he had obtained an impresarial contract for the Nacogdoches area, and then in the election for alcalde, Edwards had declared his son-in-law the winner, even though the election results were questionable. The opposition was able to get Mexican officials in San Antonio to rescind Edwards' contract. On November 22nd, Edwards arrested and convicted several members of the opposition, and on this day, expecting the support of local Cherokees, he declared independence. When Mexican forces and volunteers from Austin's colony arrived in January, they found Edwards and other revolutionists had fled to Louisiana. Edwards returned to Texas during the Revolution and then died in 1849. In 1835, on or about this day, General Sam Houston rode into Washington on the Brazos, his new headquarters. The settlement had a few scattered cabins and a single street cut through the woods. There was an unfinished barracks-like building constructed a year earlier, while Captain Amon B. King had arrived from Kentucky with 18 men, and Captain Peyton S. Wyatt from Alabama with 56 volunteers. Houston ordered them to Refugio to rendezvous with other volunteers expecting to land at Capano or Matagorda. In 1836, the Texas Congress passed a law stating, quote, "Every person who shall kill another in a duel shall be deemed guilty of murder, and on conviction thereof shall suffer death. And every person who shall assist in any duel shall on conviction thereof be fined and imprisoned at the discretion of the court." In spite of this law, there are few prosecutions, even though duels took place while it was the law, and several persons were killed or wounded. In 1837, an act of the Republic of Texas Congress provided bounty lands to survivors of the Battle of San Jacinto, the December 1835 Siege of Bexar, the Goliad Massacre, and the Alamo, as well as the heirs of those who died in those battles. Each such soldier or heir could claim 640 acres in the public domain and was not subject to a mortgage during a claimant's lifetime. Among such claimants were the heirs of James Bowie and David Crockett's widow, Elizabeth Crockett. In 1847, 1849, 1853, 1857, and 1859, 5 Texas governors were inaugurated. George Wood, Peter Bell, Elisha M. Peace, Hardin R. Runnels, and Sam Houston. In 1853, the Texas legislature authorized the governor to request proposals for a Trans-Texas Railway, a move to develop a southern transcontinental railroad through Texas. However, only one unsatisfactory proposal was submitted in the first round and none in the second. In 1857, the land that had been reserved for a railway and local development was released for settlement. In 1857, Hardin R. Runnels, who came to Texas in 1842, was elected governor of Texas. He won the election over Sam Houston by a vote of 38,000 to 24,000, the only person to beat Houston in an election. As governor, he favored reopening the African slave trade and signing a bill allowing free blacks to choose a master and become slaves. At the same time, he signed bills to establish UT Austin and the State Geological Survey. In the next race for governor in 1859, Houston won over Runnels by an almost reverse vote of 36,000 to 27,000. Runnels, who vigorously supported secession in 1861, died in 1878 in Bowie City. In 1861, the Frontier Regiment of the Texas State Troops was established by the legislature to replace the 1st Regiment of Texas Mounted Riflemen, which had transferred to the Confederacy. There was disagreement between Texas and the Confederacy as to which had authority over this new Frontier Regiment, but it also transferred to the Confederacy in March 1864. This resulted in the creation of the Frontier Organization as the last troops to protect the Texas frontier in the War of Northern Aggression. And finally, in 1926, Ira C. Eaker and his co-pilot left San Antonio on a global goodwill trip. They completed it at Washington, D.C. after stops in 23 countries, and each received the new Distinguished Flying Cross from President Calvin Coolidge. Eaker's team was the only team to successfully complete the 23,000-mile flight around the world. Eaker was born at Field Creek in 1896 and obtained his pilot rating in 1918. In 1929, he and two colleagues set a record of 150 hours and 40 minutes aloft in a Fokker tri-motor airplane with the in-air refueling, and in 1930, he flew the first U.S. transcontinental flight that depended on in-air refueling. Eaker passed away in 1987 and is buried at Arlington National Cemetery. All right, that was your Texas History Roundup for December 21st. I want to thank you so much for listening. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. And remember always, Texas first.
Well, there you have it. If you like our podcast, check us out at feedbandit.com. There you'll find awesome Texas First outdoors gear and apparel. Your purchase helps support the Bandits and keeps this podcast on the air, fighting for you and for Texas. Remember, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Until next time.